Hi, it's Anitra. I'm doing a little update video after getting home from my 7th general anesthesia surgery in the last year and a half. This is probably my 99th video or something like that in 2.5 years that I've been making videos now. I was down at Stanford on the 21st last Friday, and today's Tuesday, so it's been 4 days. They kept me overnight in the hospital, and then I stayed one more night just to be sure I was okay because I've had trouble in the past. One of the times I had surgery, I drove all the way back home. It was an outpatient surgery, and right when I got here, this side had actually filled up. A huge hematoma had formed. We drove all the way back down to Stanford. Like at that time, it was pre-COVID, so there was tons of traffic, and it took, I don't know, it was just like 8 hours of driving in both directions. So I decided to stay down there, and it was good that I did. I lost a fair amount of blood. Actually, I spoke to the plastic surgeon, I think yesterday, for a post-op appointment, and he said actually intraoperatively I didn't lose a lot of blood, which is really good to hear. I should lower this to show. You can see this bruise from where I had the port taken out. They put a port in and it goes whoop, and it goes up into that vein where I got the chemo, and then since then where I've also had the blood draws from. And I also have my binder on. I lower it more because I also have, gosh, I have to really lower it. I'm gonna raise it back up, but I've got these drains. That's my blood. They're going up into me there. That's one of them. They're both in here. And then I have this pretty uncomfortable, I mean, it's not as bad as it could be, but this binder on because this is to prevent any kind of seroma or fluid accumulation, which I've had in the past. I've gotten those seromas, and the body usually reabsorbs it, as I understand it, reabsorbs the fluid that collects, but sometimes they might have to aspirate it, and we don't want me having a hematoma. So, but I started to say intraoperatively I wasn't bleeding that much. Oh yeah. But then actually these bulbs, I have to take note of how much like fluid output there is per day, and then I get to have them removed from my body once the output is like 30 cc's in total for the whole day. I do have an appointment to go back down to Stanford, and most likely the output will be low by then. But the first night, so I stayed in the hospital, and then the next night I stayed in the hotel, and that night I felt pretty lightheaded. We were about to drive home. I had a friend come with me. I was really nervous about driving home because I thought, like, what if I pass out? I felt that faint. Oh, and the night that I was in the hospital, oh my gosh. I always have like low blood pressure anyway. My blood pressure is usually like 100/65. It's been that way for a really long time, even sometimes 90. It's not that uncommon for me to have that kind of blood pressure. But for whatever reason, the night I was in the hospital, they couldn't get a good read, and they were doing my bicep, and they were doing my forearm, which I sometimes do, and they were doing my calf, and I was just like such an ornery patient. The nurse was doing all this stuff, and I was like, get it off. It was like strangling me, I mean, on my leg. It was so tight. It was tighter than anything, and it was so uncomfortable. And for some reason, the blood pressure machine just was not like getting a read, and the nurse told me that when it goes too low or too high, it like recalibrates to try to find it's trying to find the pressure. That was discouraging for me. And then it was coming up with numbers like 75, like 75/50 or something. And I felt like, am I dying? Like, what is going on here? So finally she went and got a manual blood pressure cuff and used that, and my blood pressure was 95/65 or something like that, which is fine. It was so frustrating. Oh my gosh, that whole thing. Then when I got back to the hotel, me feeling really lightheaded, and then one of the bulbs, I can't remember which one, but one of these breasts were, I no longer have breasts, so I don't say like one of these breasts, I have no breasts. One of these places, regions, was putting out a lot of blood, and the amount of blood that was in there, and then the amount of blood that I was losing, and how I felt dizzy, and how my blood pressure wasn't getting noticed. Like, I just felt really nervous to drive 3 hours. And then not only that, my platelets were, well, I found out my platelets on Saturday morning were 25,000, but that Monday prior, they were 80. And then I got an injection on Wednesday, an M plate injection, thinking that that would raise them. And all I know is by Saturday they were down to 25. So I don't know what my platelets were when he did surgery, but luckily, you know, everything was fine and it wasn't bleeding that much. And I have this amount of bruising here, and I have some bruising actually. I have like looked to see how it all looks, and this side, this was the cancer side, so that's the radiated side, and this was the side that my skin failed, and last June I had to have the expander removed in an emergency. Yeah, and then I just had nothing there, and I got a hematoma, so I had to go back into an emergency surgery. But what was my point in saying that? Oh yeah, this side, the expander was in for a really long time, since Thanksgiving 2018. So that's a long time. And then this side, I had an expander in, it failed, they put in a new one. So this new expander on this side was in since January. My point is that this side got radiated, like had an expander in for a long time. And this side had a fresh expander that was only in since this January, about 8 months. The skin on this side looks so much better. This is the side that, like, when somebody has a flat closure, if you've ever seen anybody that's gotten a mastectomy and you just see they have like, boop, they have a scar that goes across like that. They usually take the nipple, sew it up. This is like, this side looks like the way you'd want it to look. It's like a clean line, the skin looks good, all is well. This side, because the skin was radiated, radiation just totally destroys the skin. It makes it very thin and it looks like it. So it's a bummer, but you know, it is what it is. This side looks like kind of like crinkly and rumply and dimply and bumpy and like that. I think it looks like hamburger meat. That's what I called it. And I know it'll heal and I know it'll get better. It'll look fine and I'll be fine with it, I'm sure. The scars are gonna be even going across, and I actually have another scar. This is just too low for me to do illustrations. Then I have the scars that go, the inframammary ones that go like that, and then I have now new scars that go like that, and even actually the scars underneath are pretty well, what is it, dulled, you know, they've faded is the word I was looking for. They're pretty well faded, and my plastic surgeon, you know, that said that's one of the benefits of having Caucasian skin, is that like scars tend to fade really well. I definitely have, they call these dog ears. This is where it's like, I'm really actually trying to like keep it on there because it's just a fluid. It's like a place, it's where fluid collects, and then it ends up being like flat, and then there's this like boop, there's this like bulge of, it's kind of a seroma, I guess, because it's getting full of fluid. Once I get the drains out, once this heals up, once things start to just sort of settle a bit like this, and I'm like exercising again and doing stuff, like I know that that's just going to even out over time. I do have the option, and right now I want nothing to do with it, but I do have the option to go back in at some point. They can liposuction and fat graft and like do all kinds of stuff. The radiated side, he had to leave part of the capsule. The capsule is scar tissue, so I guess anytime you put something foreign into the body creates scar tissue around it as a means of protection. So my body did that, and this one was in for so long. The capsule was probably thick or big or really, you know, like solid in there. So he said it was risky to take the backside of the capsule. So he got like the whole expander implant and the front side of the capsule, but I guess he had to leave the back side of the capsule. And according to some, it's unfortunate because that can still apparently cause problems, and I'm trying not to go there. I'm just hoping that now I've got like these out of my body, I've got that out of my body, I've got nothing foreign in me anymore. I feel really grateful for that. Hoping that it's just like, you know, upward, smooth sailing from here on out. When I look down, I mean, it's hard to tell now because I'm suffocating myself with this thing. I actually, for some reason, I just feel like I can't even breathe with it. I'm gonna have to fix it. I lost my train of thought. So maybe I was gonna, I was saying, look, you can see, so that's me, that's my body. You can see a little bit of the radiated skin. I guess I'll show some of it. I'm not gonna show the whole thing right now, but it doesn't look that bad. It was really red. He said he put some sort of, I don't know what it was called, but he like sprayed me with some kind of stuff that was supposed to prevent a hematoma. And this actually looks amazing right now, my skin. I was red, just like red all the way over because I have really sensitive skin anyway. And whatever they put on me Definitely the tape. I'm like all rashy and itchy from all the tape that they do. The area here, the skin is so thin. I don't really care that it's thin. I don't think it's a problem. I mean, gosh, if I got cut right there, I don't know if it would just go straight to my ribs or what, but there's basically no tissue. I think that's one of the reasons why going forward at some point, having some fat grafted just to pull some tissue from another part of my body, just to give it, like one benefit is it smooths it out, but at the same time, it'll also protect it, I guess, and give it just a little bit more meat there. I can't think about that now. I don't need to deal with that now. I'm so grateful. I feel so much better this time than I did last time. I don't know what it was about that last surgery in May, but getting the tubes and ovaries out, I was just like a total wreck for a while. And even though I don't feel like my brain has fully recovered, I just feel so much better. I actually feel like I can think critically and logically. It's only been 4 days, so maybe it was just something like I knew I still had another surgery no matter what. I don't know. I just feel freer in my mind. I feel like I'm more myself now than I was 3 months ago when I had surgery. So that's weird. I don't really know how that can be, but I did prepare myself. I prepared myself by having a lot of protein before. I'm having a lot of protein after. I wish I would have known that. That would have been really good information for all the previous surgeries, but I learn as I go, and that's what I know now. I've been having a lot of protein. I had a meal train for myself. I have a meal train, so people who wanted to contribute or give to me in some way. There's mealtrain.com or mealtrain.org. I don't remember, but you can set that up for yourself or for somebody else who might just want meals brought to them, after they have a baby or after surgery, whatever it is. And it's so nice. Oh my gosh, somebody brought amazing food today and yesterday, and it's been so great to have food every day. And I also have a friend of mine staying here, my ex-partner actually, and that's really nice. He's helping me milk the drains and keep track, and he just he's eating food with me and then cleans up, so I don't need to do all that. And I can actually use my arms. I mean, I'm not supposed to lift them more than like this, I think, but I can use them. I can do a little bit. I'm not doing a lot, but I have a lot more range of motion than I thought I was going to have at this point, 4 days after this surgery. So once again, it's like nothing like the mastectomy, and I'm so grateful for that. I think I'll just be healing at this point, from this point on, and I look forward to getting back into my walks. I was doing my morning walk and my evening walk really consistently every day, and getting 10 to 12,000 steps, 9 to 12,000, and I loved it, and it felt so good, and it was just really good for me. We can't even open our windows right now. I live in Northern California, and the air is super smoky. I don't want to be breathing that right now, especially when I'm still compromised in my lungs and my whole body. I'm just really looking forward to being able to work out and exercise and get back into life. Hopefully this COVID stuff gets behind all of us, and continue putting my energy into my business. My daughter just started school today. She's homeschooling like most kids, I think, or many kids. I'm really looking forward to the next chapter, and I'm definitely not pushing myself. I usually do. I usually start doing more than I should be doing, or I should be healing. So trying to focus on healing, taking care of myself, just knowing that I'm getting better and I'm rebuilding. I feel optimistic, hopeful, and enthusiastic with this update, even though I'm still bedraggled, as you can see, and just still recovering. But my spirit's intact, and that's what I care about the most, is my spirit. I care more about my spirit than my body. My spirit and my mind are the most important things to me, and they're doing pretty good. So yeah, thank you.